So, as you all know, I love my movement stuff, especially in CSGO, and now that Counter-Strike 2 is finally out with the new Source 2 engine, I wanted to see just how different the movement would be. Firstly though, I would like to thank my friend Dynasty for letting me use his account to play CS2, since Valve doesn't seem to love me and they didn't give me access to it. But yeah, his channel will be linked below, so please show him some love. This video is brought to you by Keydrop. Keydrop is a provably fair site where you can open cases and many other things, but you do have to be over 18 years old to play on their site. So among opening cases, you can also do case battles against other players, and if you don't like what you unbox, then you can use their upgrader mode to upgrade your skins. Or you can also use their skin changer mode where you can trade your skins to ones that are to your liking. There are also a lot of tasks you can do to get free gold, which you can use to open free cases. They have a bunch of different deposit methods, including credit cards, crypto, or even CSGO skins. And if you use my promo code skripe, then you get a 10% deposit bonus, which helps me out and helps you out. So if you're interested, then click on the link in the description down below. And thank you Keydrop for sponsoring the video. And one thing to note before we get started, CS2 actually sort of removed tick rates, I think. Here, just watch.
That's why with Counter-Strike 2, we're introducing sub-tick updates. Now the tick rate no longer matters for moving and shooting, so the server will know the exact moment you fired your shot, jumped your jump, or peeked your peek. So what you see is what you get.
Thanks to Counter-Strike 2's sub-tick update architecture, servers know the exact instant that motion starts, a shot is fired, or a nade is thrown. As a result, regardless of tick rate, your moving and shooting will be equally responsive, and your grenades will blah 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 blah. Who gives a shit about that? Now, I don't really know what this means exactly, but if this means that they basically just remove ticks completely, then that would either mean that tick rate related movement will be easier or way harder in CS2. But either way, I'll get more into it later in the video, but firstly, I would like to say that currently there's only one map playable as I'm recording this video, and that is Dust 2. Now, Dust 2 is very notorious for its uneven ground and fairly boring map design. Which makes it pretty bad for movement related stuff, so I wasn't able to do as much testing as I would have liked, but anyways, let's continue with the video. First things first, B-hopping. Is it any different? Is it any better? Or did they completely ruin it? Well, you might actually be surprised to hear that they didn't really change anything when it comes to b-hopping. It's still pretty much the exact same thing. So as most of you know, b-hopping on 64-tick and 128-tick servers feels very different. Some say 64-tick b-hopping is harder than 128-tick, and some say the exact opposite. But CS2 b-hopping really felt like I was playing on a whole new tick rate, which is ironic because they removed tick rates. But yeah, I felt as though my b-hops were pretty inconsistent sometimes, and it was a bit harder to hit a perfect b-hop, or maybe that's just something I'll have to get used to, but I still think it's worth mentioning. And it also felt like I was losing a lot more speed when missing a b-hop, but later I tested it with the cl_show+1 command, and I noticed that you lose around 60 to 65 velocity when missing a b-hop in both CS2 and CSGO, so there actually isn't really any difference. It was just placebo, I guess. Now, strafing on the other hand felt way sharper. Like, at first I even thought that the default air acceleration was increased, but it actually wasn't. It just felt like my inputs were a lot more responsive, and the strafes felt a lot smoother, and it felt like I was gaining more speed than I actually was. And personally, I really enjoyed that. I definitely think that strafing is a lot easier and better in CS2 compared to CSGO, and as you can see, I was failing this jump in T-spawn quite a lot in CSGO, but in CS2 I was way more consistent with it, which, I mean, maybe I just suck, but I don't know, it felt way easier to do in CS2. But like I said earlier though, this map is absolutely garbage, and there isn't many jumps that I could show off and try to compare, but I hope that this sorta shows you how it feels like. Now, I know Frontstay will be doing jumping jacks in celebration of the fact that edge bugs are still a thing, and I am so glad that they are. As you might know, 64-tick and 128-tick edge bugs are completely different in terms of difficulty, at least. Edge bugs have to be frame perfect, or rather tick perfect, to hit them, which makes 128-tick edge bugs twice as hard as 64-tick ones, since you have double the amount of ticks, obviously. But since they removed the whole tick rate thing, it actually made me curious, like, is it any harder or is it actually easier in CS2? Well, you might be surprised to hear, but it actually was pretty easy to hit edge bugs in CS2. It felt the same as 64-tick edge bugs, so if you're used to edge bugging in 64-tick, then I doubt you'll have any trouble hitting those bugs in CS2. Or maybe I'm just very epic and I can hit edge bugs like nobody else, but I don't know. But like I said before though, you can only play Dust 2 currently, so my edge bug testing was very limited, which actually brings me to jump bugging. Now, if you don't know what jump bugs are, they're basically tick perfect jumps, just like edge bugs, but instead of negating all fall damage, jump bugs give you more height, which makes certain movement jumps possible, which they normally wouldn't be with just a regular B-hop. Now 128 tick jump bugs are absolute fucking pain. They feel nearly impossible, although I haven't really played 128 tick as much as I have 64 tick, but regardless, 64 tick jump bugs are way easier. And in CS2 the jump bugs actually feel like 128 tick jump bugs. Now keep in mind Dust 2 is a very uneven map, like I said, which means jump bugs are even harder to hit because the ground like fucks up your timing and shit. Now this being said, the jump bugs were very difficult to pull off, and initially I even thought that jump bugs were completely impossible to do in the new CS, but I don't think they are, because with my limited amount of time testing it, I managed to pull off at least one jump bug, as you can see. That was a jump bug, that had to have been a jump bug, but it took me around 15 to 20 minutes just to hit one, so until a new map is available to be played, I would recommend not really going for jump bugs, but just do know that they are still possible. Now, I also tested out pixel stocks, and if you didn't know, in CSGO you can get wall stock or pixel stock on pretty much any slanted wall, and that's just how it's always been on the Source engine. So I was very surprised to see that the pixel stocks didn't really seem to work at all in CS2. Like, I didn't get wall stock once, which leads me to believe that they've completely fixed them, which is pretty sad, but it's also understandable since it's something that shouldn't be a thing in the first place. But maybe hopefully you can do it in some other maps in CS2, but we'll have to wait and see.